Hey.
Welcome back to Cash Therapy. Quick question. Do you ever look at your paycheck, look at the price of a one-story ranch home and feel completely broke, even when you're making good money?
Today, we're not talking about getting rich.
Mhm.
We're talking about why you feel poor.
Yeah.
We're talking about the great paralysis.
Yeah.
Let's check it out.
We're going to unpack something today, a feeling that just seems to be everywhere right now. It's this deep, kind of nagging anxiety. The one you get when you're making what you know is decent money, good money even, but you still feel completely, utterly broke. And look, this isn't about skipping lattes or bad budgeting. This feels systemic. We've got some source material here that really diagnoses the problem.
Yeah, what's interesting is how much noise there is out there. It's overwhelming. You've got one group yelling, history's repeating. Look at these AI charts. It's 1999 all over again.
Yeah.
And then the other side is just as loud, warning, don't be stupid. You can't time the market. Just stay in.
Right. All that conflicting advice. It's not just confusing. It feels like it's designed to make you freeze. So the core question we're really tackling today, the one everyone seems to be wrestling with, is if everything's going up and potentially crashing at the same time, where do you even put your money?
Exactly. Where do you go?
And that's really our mission for this deep dive. We're going to shift away maybe from the usual get-rich-quick strategies. Instead, we need a proper psychological diagnosis. Why does the average person trying to invest feel kind of poor, maybe hopeless, definitely paralyzed? We'll dig into this concept the sources call the everything bubble, and then importantly dissect the result, this paralysis trap, that feeling that there's just nowhere safe, nowhere sensible to park your cash anymore. Okay, so before we even think about strategy, we have to look at the system itself, because, well, according to the material we're looking at, the system is the issue. It argues pretty strongly this isn't just, one bubble, not just AI, not just housing. It's an everything bubble.
That's the key difference. Yeah, it's critical. When we look at the usual places people put money, the typical asset classes, we're seeing them all hit these historic highs basically simultaneously. Just look at the numbers. Real estate, nationally, prices are up, almost 40% since just 2020 in aggregate. It's huge. Gold blew past $2,400 an ounce recently. Bitcoin, trading at valuations we haven't seen before. And the S&P 500 just keeps ticking upwards, setting new records.
And the sources argue this isn't just tricky financially, it's actually damaging psychologically.
Yeah.
Because when everything's this high, it really limits your choices. It basically forces you down one of two paths. And the source puts it bluntly, both paths are kind of designed for suckers.
Right. This whole setup, it creates anxiety. It's baked in. You feel trapped trying to figure out what to do with your savings.
Okay, let's start with trap A. This is what the sources call the safe path. This is the sensible move, right? You look at the market madness, you see, the NVIDIA chart going vertical like an EKG, and you think, correctly probably, whoa, risk is way too high. So you choose safety, liquidity, cash. You listen to that old saying, more money's lost preparing for crashes than in them. So you sit it out, you wait.
And that's where you walk right into the inflation tax. Because this safe path, it actually guarantees you lose money. We have to be really clear here. Cash sitting in a bank account is basically the only asset that is absolutely guaranteed to lose purchasing power. 2, 3, maybe even 5%. Every single year, inflation just eats it.
Yeah, I thought the analogy the source used was really sharp here. Saving money in a bank right now. It's like buying a ticket on a sinking ship because you're afraid of pirates.
Exactly. It captures the dilemma perfectly. You're actively penalized for trying to be responsible and avoid risk.
You're punished for being cautious.
We can even put some, technical terms on it. Your bank account might give you, 0.5% interest? That's the nominal return. But if inflation is running at, say, 4%, your real return, what your money can actually buy, is negative 3.5%. So the number on your statement goes up a tiny bit, but your actual wealth, your purchasing power, is going down.
And that right there, that's the direct link. That's why someone making $100,000 a year can feel totally, utterly hopeless.
Yeah.
You're not crazy if you feel this way. You might be broke in real terms because your income is barely keeping up, maybe not even, and your savings guaranteed to bleed value. Slowly, maybe, but definitely. Meanwhile, you watch the price of some, basic starter home jump 20% while you're trying to scrape together a down payment.
It's brutal.
So the safe path in these conditions, the source calls it slow motion, guaranteed bankruptcy.
And it's that punishment, that punitive nature of holding cash that creates the fear, that fear of the guaranteed loss. Well, that's what pushes the average person, often against their gut feeling, right into trap B.
Right. Okay, so the panic starts to creep in. You realize doing nothing is actually losing. You have to beat inflation. And that forces you toward option B, the growth path. or, as the source kind of sarcastically calls it, the casino.
Yeah, you step into the market and it just feels weirdly detached, doesn't it? Like it's operating in its own little world, totally separate from your actual life, where maybe jobs feel insecure or the price of groceries and gas is still stubbornly high. But because of Trap A, because cash is losing value, you feel like you have to play this game. You basically have to accept the market's apparent insanity as like the new normal, the new, very unstable logic.
But here's the hard part. What are you actually buying? When everything already seems maxed out, let's say you try to be sensible, buy a broad market index fund like the S&P 500.
Right.
Well, right now doing that means you're mostly buying into the AI hype, right?
Yeah.
It's dominated by the Mag 7.
Exactly. The Magnificent Seven tech giants are driving so much of the index's performance. You're essentially buying the bubble maybe near its all-time high. Concentrated risk.
Concentrated, yeah.
And the risk profile is it's dizzying. You're being forced to chase growth, but that growth seems like it's already priced in, maybe years, even decades into the future.
Right.
Look at the examples the sources point to right now. NVIDIA, obviously. It's the icon for AI investment. We saw one comment, a user saying it made him $18,000 but can't stay up, meaning it's so volatile, gains just vanish overnight.
Wow, yeah.
And then you've got companies like Tesla. Remember when people called it the most overvalued company to ever exist based on old school metrics? And yet it just kept going, defying gravity for a long time. It makes valuing anything incredibly difficult.
Okay, but hang on. If cash is maybe the only safe place in a crash,
Yeah.
if you need liquidity when everything goes south, isn't the source being a little unfair dismissing holding any cash? Isn't there some value there?
That's the trap, you see. That's the core of the problem. The source basically argues the market has squeezed out that reasonable middle ground. Sure, liquidity is great if you can perfectly time the crash and perfectly time the bottom to buy back in, but who can actually do that consistently? It's almost impossible. And if you hold cash waiting and you miss that bottom, inflation has already chewed away a chunk of your principal.
You lose either way.
We're kind of caught in this hostage situation. The only piece of market wisdom that seems to apply is that really scary one. The market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. That's not a growth strategy. That's just a description of being trapped.
Yeah. The odds feel stacked because the crazy just keeps getting crazier, or at least more expensive.
Yeah.
This relentless upward push, kind of disconnected from the basics.
Yeah.
That's what makes this forced gamble feel so terrifying.
And this is the real turning point in the analysis. This feeling, this confusion, this anxiety, this paralysis. We have to ask, is it just an accident of the market? Or is it something else? The source material argues pretty forcefully that the specific state of confusion, where saving feels bad and investing feels bad, it's the intended outcome of the system.
That's a heavy claim. Let's unpack that. I think understanding that intended outcome idea is really key. The source lays out these 3 steps, like a methodical process that create this helplessness. Step 1, make saving money a guaranteed loss. Use inflation, use debt dynamics, force people's capital out of safe cash and into the market looking for any return.
Step 2 is where the real power lies. Deliberately inflate all the growth assets, stocks, real estate, maybe certain commodities, pump them up into a massive bubble. And how's that done? 2 main tools: huge pools of concentrated wealth, and crucially, access to cheap, low-interest debt.
Okay, let's pause on that. How exactly does concentrated wealth using cheap debt outrun the average person trying to save or invest?
It's pretty straightforward, actually. It's just math driven by monetary policy. When interest rates are kept really low, big players, institutions, the very wealthy, they can borrow massive amounts of money very cheaply. Leverage. They use that cheap borrowed money to buy up assets. Could be hundreds of starter homes, could be huge blocks of tech stocks, whatever looks like it's going up. This buying pressure itself drives prices up way faster than wages or average incomes can possibly keep pace.
Ah, okay.
That's why you feel like you're working hard, maybe getting small raises, but the price of a house jumps 20% in a year. Asset inflation isn't really connected to wage growth anymore. It's driven by this leveraged money sloshing around.
Got it. And then step 3, this is where the trap snaps shut.
That's the wall, yeah.
Yeah.
Step 3, you create the everything bubble. You've successfully pushed the average person into the market because saving is pointless. But now, every single investment option looks ridiculously overpriced, like a gamble at the very top. You've created the nowhere to hide market. Trap.
So the goal, according to this analysis, It's not just about taking your money. It's almost more insidious.
It's about taking your sanity, your confidence. It's about eliminating psychological resistance. The system, as described here, wants you to feel stupid for saving and stupid for investing. Total confusion, because that confusion creates desperation. And desperate people, they frantically ask experts, just tell me what to do. What's the strategy? They want you begging for the secret code, because desperate people take the biggest risks, usually at exactly the wrong moment.
Okay, wow. So if the safe path guarantees loss, and the growth path is a forced bet on something already inflated, like AI or housing,
Yeah.
what's the counter move? What's the anti-advice here? Is there any kind of win available if you feel stuck in this paralysis?
Well, if you connect all these dots, the only strategy that really makes sense in this kind of environment, it's not financial, not in the traditional sense, it's psychological, it's detachment. The real therapy maybe is just fully realizing the game is rigged. It's designed to put you in this corner. You were never really meant to win by playing these manufactured rules.
So the core idea is to recognize the stock market isn't really reflecting the real economy anymore.
Pretty much, it's become its own thing. A separate, kind of detached digital feedback loop. A casino, like the source says. It's running on its own logic, disconnected from jobs, from productivity out on Main Street, and definitely disconnected from whether a good salary can actually buy you a decent house anymore.
We have to stop calling it a parallel reality.
And just call it what it is, a self-referential machine. It feeds itself. So the only win you can get in this kind of ridiculous setup is psychological. It's detaching yourself from the machine's logic. Stop trying to beat it or time it when its fundamental premise is, well, kind of insane by design. Stop feeling paralyzed by every little up and down tick.
It's like, you're not paralyzed. You're just the person who decided not to go into the burning casino.
Yeah.
You're standing outside, watching it, while everyone inside is still screaming about their roulette strategy on a floor that's on fire.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
The psychological win is realizing you don't actually have to go inside and join the screaming. You can just watch. Detachment. Okay, so let's wrap this deep dive up. We've looked at why that feeling of investment paralysis isn't some personal failing. It's arguably the intended result of this engineered everything bubble. We broke down how both paths, holding cash, the safe path, and chasing growth in inflated assets, seem designed to punish the average person just trying to protect what they've earned.
Right. And that really leads us to the final provocative thought to leave you with. If the standard investment world, stocks, bonds, maybe even mainstream real estate is the rigged casino, then the sources kind of hint that the real opportunities, or maybe just the ways to preserve wealth, might be hiding elsewhere, in what you could call the twilight zone of assets, things outside the mainstream. So if the goal is psychological detachment from the market's crazy logic, what exists outside the casino walls? Are there assets that big institutions can't easily leverage up with cheap debt? Assets based on real physical scarcity? Or things valued purely for their utility, not some digital story pushed by the Mag 7?
Interesting. Things not easily financialized, maybe.
Exactly. That feels like the quiet conversation that's actually worth exploring next. What lies beyond the bubble?
Absolutely. Well, if you're tired of feeling broke, even when you're earning good money, and you want more deep dives like this, knowledge that helps you navigate these, well, psychological and economic traps, definitely follow our channel. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
That was today's topic. That's our function here, to fix minds, not just wallets.
Subscribe to Cash Therapy Official. Until next time.